coming out. Didn't see the lid. Okay, we have one more sampler. That was the Kumo, and then we have my shirt. Oh, I tied this one awful tight. Hopefully I did not put a hole in my handkerchief. I tied this one awful good. Okay. This one had 4, if I remember. Sometimes if you get into the crevice of one of the folds, it makes it a little bit easier to cut the string. Okay, last one here. I am going to find a fold here because this one was tight too. There we go. Okay. Oh, this one has spikes radiating in slightly different directions. So it's just the randomness of how we folded it. So that one's mostly developed because it took me a while to undo. Next is my shirt. Okay, so move these. My shirt is going to be very messy. I'm going to pull it out, and I'm going to probably have to cut the strings not on my table. So, ooh, there's a lot. Oh, I don't want to introduce that much. I'm going to go in there. That's so much oxygen. Okay, I'm going to go cut the strings. I'll be right back.
My nose has been broken 4 times too.
Okay. Sorry, it took me a second. Let's see how it turned out. Ooh, we got a lot.
You're a mouth breather anyways.
Texture in there. This is going to be awesome. Yes. Yes. Yay! I'm so glad this one turned out. This is the piece of clothing that I wanted to do. So I hope that hopefully it will develop before we got to go. So I'll let it sit out in the grass here. So that is what I had to share about dyes. And yeah, we have like 4 minutes left. So I'm going to double check and see if, okay, I don't see any more questions. See how you guys are doing in the chat. Oh, and I've got water all over this. It's getting on my legs. I'm going to be blue. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. It's one of my passions. I don't get to do it very often because it's time consuming and it's messy. But one of the coolest things, which I forgot to put in my notes, but I'm glad I remembered now, is about indigo is that you don't have to rinse and rinse and rinse. With a lot of tie-dye dyes, especially like reds and oranges, you have to rinse and rinse and rinse. And I sit over the bathtub rinsing and rinsing, and my back hurts. You can just throw them in the wash. You do want to bleach out your washer after you do this, but you can just throw them in the wash. I don't have my Synthropol on hand. A friend of mine is going to stop by and bring me some. But that's a special detergent for use for after washing, and it will help the colors, whether it's indigo or whether it's like tie-dye dyes or whatever, stay on your garments longer. So it's very much worth the investment. And you use it. It's basically a low sud laundry detergent. So, and then you just throw it in there, wash it, dry it. I usually give it an extra wash just to get the extra indigo off of there, and then I can put it in with my normal clothes. So. Okay, catching up here. Yeah, thank you guys so much for coming. It was really exciting to be able to share with you. I've done indigo dye workshops before, but with COVID, we can't really do that. And this is a way that I can share with you guys and help out world builders and authors to be able to add fun aspects like this to your world. So, and if you're thinking old world style dyeing, they didn't have protective garments like gloves. Their hands, their legs, everything would be whatever color they were dyeing, and those chemicals would get into their skin, and so some dyers didn't live very long. So just know that there are health issues, especially if you're doing some other dyes and you use chrome. Some nasty health issues with that. So okay. Danny says all of my clothes with the indigo suddenly. It is, once you start, it is really hard to. It's my clothes. There were a lot of them that suddenly were indigo, and you can re-dye jeans that have faded too. So anyway, that is what I have for you guys. If you do have more questions or ideas of what you'd like to see, and I know somebody who does it, or I do it, that particular craft, let me know, and we'll see if we can do this. I will be taking off from just because NaNoWriMo. Thank you guys so much for attending. I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed sharing this with you guys. So I'm now going to turn you over to Erin on Sable Iradia's channel, and I have company coming, so I will not be able to stay in the chat there. I've already warned you.
I'm live.
But anyway, thank you again, guys.
Yeah. Oh. Gunbate, Shy Red Fox. I have something for you guys. Oh, my camera's not facing me. Okay. Too low. Gambate! And how is everybody doing today? I was catching the end of Shyred's stream there. That's pretty a cool thing, Shyred. Thank you for putting that on for us. That's awesome of you. I hope to see more of that in the future. And I understand that you have to go. You have to run off. So thanks for bringing the raid here. So, how is everyone today? Yeah, it is pretty amazing because, you got to know that stuff. Like, dyes stink. They really do. Right? But if you're going to write about a dyer or somebody in a dye factory or something, you got to know that dyes smell bad. So how's everybody doing today? What is everybody up to? Okay, no worries, Nick. You're doing 15 pre-gen profiles? What, one for each class or something there? Bob? Is your inability to smell their moonflowers that part of your nose or your brain? See, I don't have any sense of smell, but that's brain damage from my accident. Hell yes, Danny. Yeah. Yeah. Ah, just never developed or something. Cool, Bob. That's, a lot of variety is nice. That's a good way to do it. Ooh. So what do you guys think of my new layout for Asking Old GM? Thanks, Danny. I shouldn't be on the camera mic, no. I think I disabled the camera mic. Yeah, no. I know what I can do to fix that, though. Okay, does that make me too quiet? How about now? Yeah, I see that there, Dinosaur Bob. I'll bring it up here. I didn't tell you to go there, you fucking stupid. Nope, that didn't work either. What's going on here? Nope, your link does not work, Bob. Is it supposed to be 3 hyphens? Ah, okay. Nope, it didn't work either. You fucking... I hate computers. Well, doesn't bring it up. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Here, I'll try her link. Ah, her link works. Oh, it is actually 3 dashes. Not space dash space. Okay. That was weird. Ask an old GM. That's why the gold background. I'm just taking a look at this Gnome Cleric article. Why, does this still say I'm a writing stream? Hey, Bolt. Ah. My mistake. Thanks, babe. What does scale armor protect against? Everything. Yeah, scale armor will protect against everything, right? It's overlapping plates, right? So when you hit it with something, even a bludgeoning weapon, it distributes the impact over the entirety of the plates. I'm not gonna read this out loud, but I'm gonna lay it up and let people take a look at it. It looks pretty great there, Bob. Actually, Bob, you'd be amazed how good chainmail is against blunt weapons. I've worn chainmail and been hit with a blunt weapon in it. That is true. That is truth, Bob, yes. Right, where chainmail fails is against piercing weapons, stilettos, arrows, stuff like that. It just fails utterly. Thanks, babe. Okay. Percentages of what there, slash key? Ow. Just lit myself on fire. Cool, Bolt. That's good. That's great, man. I say man as a gender neutral term. I'm male, therefore I say man. Well, if nobody else has got another article, throw it up here and I'll take another look at it now that you've flushed it out better. Improved it, as you say. This is, after all, Ask an Old GM. Resin rum. Right. Item. Okay. Right, this is from your braid stuff. This is your spirits. Oh yeah, lots of addition to it. Okay, Resin rum. Dreadfully treading the line between an ichor of cultural significance and the substance of abuse. Resin rum is dark fluid as greedily consumed by the addict as those by claiming cleaner intentions. Not sure I like that sentence. It's the cleaner intentions thing, right? Addicts are sick people, they're not dirty. Right. What do you think? More benign, perhaps, yes. For more benign intentions. Produced through a unique process of purification, the black liquid known as sin is refined to extract the latent memories of a soul's past life. Yeah, exactly there, Bob. Yeah, I remember that. If you're in plate, not only do you get this, but if you're in plate against a two-handed sword, it does this. And it all depends on it really slash key. Like I know a game system that has got so many bloody tables in it that it was actually called the Roll Master system. Roll as in roll your dice. I'm sure Bob remembers it too. Anyways, back to this article. Effect and use. Upon consuming resume, the user will enter a comatose state. The duration of this affliction is directly proportional to the volume of the rum devoured. During this period of mental stasis, the consumer will live through memories of the before. This effect is commonly referred to as hindsight. Visually apparent, spirits who are affected will have the colors of their skin darkened and dull. While most spirits avoid consuming such a liquid, those who seek it out fall into one of two camps: the addicts wishing to use it as an escape, and the adjuncts looking to abuse its memory restorative properties. Okay? Right. The addict. Miserable in their newfound state of existence, the addict will turn to rasm as a way out. Turning to the stasis of coma brought on by hindsight, they will live out any number of possible lives in the realm of the before, entirely based on the content of the rum. The addict's experience will change based on the nature of the sin used to produce it, often recalling a life better than the addict's previous reality. The adjunct. Proclaiming rasm as an incredibly valuable tool, adjuncts will willingly consume this fluid in hopes of reclaiming memories of lives they used to lead. While valuable batches of rasm don't come around often, when they appear, it occasionally leads to a cultural revolution, creative pursuit, or achievement of engineering. Unfortunate for the hopeful. Unfortunately, that's what I was looking for. You need an ly there. For the hopeful adjunct, the most likely outcome usually involves wasting away in the same pit. In the same pit, you don't need along with the rest of the addicts. Batch quality, Not unlike wildly divergent qualities of different wines, rasm will differ depending on the nature of the batch. As opposed to the taste, all rasm rum tastes dry and bitter. The quality of the rum is entirely dependent on the experience following its consumption. High quality rum is often rare and sought after by the addict and the adjunct alike. When a strain is confirmed as exceedingly excellent stock, this quality rum will occasionally be used by affluent individuals and those who consider themselves social consumers. Quality control is like playing a game of Russian roulette. You never know what kind of batch you've created until after you've tasted it. Producers will often surround themselves with a cabal of addicts to serve as guinea pigs to separate the good from the garbage. Make sense? Okay. Side effects. Dullment. The less detrimental of the two side effects will cause permanent loss of the coloring for a spirit's skin. Most souls within the realm of the after tend to have vibrantly colored carapaces of various shades. However, extended consumption of rasm runs the risk of permanently damaging this colorization, effectively draining the shade away from one's soul and leaving it gray and visually lifeless. Relapse. Worst of possible side effects. Relapse is common for souls who have consumed a dangerous low quality of rasm. This often caused from the mind-shattering experiences of the memories found within the souls who awake from their state of coma have difficulty distinguishing from the experienced memories from their current reality. After the most recent rise of the Second Church, rasm has become harder to find, as any soul with knowledge how to produce such a spirit has been hunted down. Seeing rasm as potentially a dangerous substance, the Church has taken upon it the responsibility to eradicate its circulation and erase any knowledge as to its production. Sorry about that. Technical difficulties. Yeah, wardrobe malfunction, yeah. At least I didn't flop out a boob or something. Did show off my bald friggin' head, though. No, that's really cool. I like what you've done with it there. Bolt. Right? It's much more fleshed out. It makes more sense to me now. Right? The only thing I would get into is how much more common is rare rasm than ilk rasm, right? Because like gambling odds, right? If you've got odds that, okay, the odds are you're gonna get nothing, right? Just a life like you had before for a while, right? But if the odds are better that you will get a really skookum life as opposed to a really shitful one, right, then you're more likely to try it. Right? An example being I'm a coke addict, a cocaine addict, right? Recovering. I haven't had cocaine in 29 years. Right? But right, I wouldn't do it nowadays. No matter how addicted I am because of the fentanyl thing. Right? It's just too dangerous. Right? And I don't stand alone in that. You see, it can be dangerous and harmful to you, and you'll do it. People smoke, people drink. Right? But the fact of the matter is, if they told you if you smoke that cigarette, you will get cancer next week, nobody do it. Unless they wanted to die. You know, people would use it for suicide. Yeah. Yeah, and it's the fact of the matter is that anything that rewires the synapse of the brain, right, is addictive. Right? That's why you can get addicted to things like sugar or cinnamon, because they actually rewire your brain when you take them, right? But you couldn't get addicted to black pepper, for example, because it doesn't. No, scientifically, it's just a fact, Siobhan. Right? It has to change the synapse of your brain because it has to create shortcuts. That's what causes you to become addictive, is getting used to those shortcuts. Right? That's why nothing is addictive on the first time. If you do something once and go, "Whoa, that was really good. I'm never doing that again," you'll never get addicted to it. Right? Because you have to get used to the shortened synapse wiring. Oh, you will get this if you do this thing. Is you don't think that you think people would still smoke? If I told you next week you'll have lung cancer and die. Because I'm betting that you can't give me an example in history where it's happened. See, there's a difference. There's contradicting arguments there, right? There are arguments that say that climate change isn't real. They're not rational arguments, but they are arguments. Burrs, they're called. You see, if it's a fact, right? In 2030, when it's too late to change everything and the climate's going to shit and everybody's dropping dead, they're going to look at us and go, oh yeah, you were right. We don't want to do that. And there's nothing that's going to be able to happen. Right? Well, yeah. 99% of the world's scientists agree that climate change is not only real, but that mankind is causing it. Right? If I told you right now that I'm going to give you a payout, 1-to-1, just I'll pay out whatever you put in, but you got a 99% chance of winning, how much would you put in? Exactly. All your cash. Yeah, okay. I got a 99% chance. 1 in 100, right? I had more than that chance that I would die when they put the stent in my heart after my accident. Right? It was about 2.5% chance that it would kill me. Right? So, right. On the other hand, if I told you flat out that if you put your money in there, I'm just going to take it and leave, how much would you put in? None, of course. you know. Right? That's called rational arguments. It all depends. If we're going to go get hookers and beer and shit, then yeah. But that's what I'm saying, right? That's called rational thought, right? Even that's a rational argument. Do I get to go with you if you take the money? Well, sure, as long as you want to do what I'm doing. Then I'll put the money in, right? That's called critical thinking, right? Something we are discouraged to do in this day and age, right? Our children are not taught to do it because we don't give them any opportunities to do it in school anymore. Right? So it becomes rare that anybody under the age of about 30 can critically think. because it started happening about the early 90s, or maybe late 80s, that they stopped teaching critical thinking in class, right? My wife was about the last person that ever taught to critically think in school. Who are they referring to, Makaro? Yeah, we're curious, Makaro. And by the way, I thought the Dutch word for cunt was basically cunt. 101 ways to craft a vulva. Are you talking in like gender reassignment surgery? Because Siobhan might be rather interested in that. Wood, bread, paper? What the? Like art. Some people are just obsessed with vulvas there, Siobhan. Usually they don't have them and can't get them. Okay, back to FaceTime. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Well, We'll leave that up on screen. We'll put up my map. Where are you? Your map, there you go. There's my map. I use that word a lot too, usually to describe people that I don't like, which is most everybody. There ain't a lot of people I like in this world. Not a lot at all. That's because women can get away with saying the word, men can't. And you can't say it in Canada, according to Kevin Bloody Wilson. Okay, so does anybody have any articles or questions? Okay, well, I'm here for the next few hours. Nah, it's sort of boring. It only took me like an hour. Yeah. think I'll change the music. Oh, you want jazz? I'll give you jazz. Sure. What do you want me to check him against? Okay, that's fine. Wow, am I ever behind? Oh, it says it's frozen. Hey, Stretch, how you doing, man? I am Skookum. The DM disabled the link. Yeah. Yeah, sure, man. Okay, it's time for a short break. I need 5 to 10 minutes to take my meds, which I don't do on camera. So I shall be back in 5 or 10 minutes. And, let's see here. Alright, we'll take a look at Slasky's document. Perfect, stretch. And break time it is. You're not missing anything, Stretch. And by sweet potato, you mean vomit. Yeah, one's projectile vomit and the other one is just power vomit. Okay, I'm back. I said the chat was relatively one-sided. It was Siobhan babbling. No, I can see that. Yeah, you sleep sometimes. Oh, yeah? Cool. Okay. That's the Forgotten Realms. Alright, so probably. I don't know if they've, um... if they've overrun it with Eberron stuff yet. Yeah. Actually, there's a lot of stuff written on Greyhawk. It's the oldest and original. But in 5th edition, light is bright. Yep. And return to Pool of Radiance and Menzoberran's and the whole Dritz Stewart and series of games. What about Dark Sun? Yeah, it got sort of abandoned about the time second edition crumbled. Ah, yeah, right. Right. supposed to say, guess who has 2 thumbs and just got Icewind Dale rhyme with Frost Maiden. Because then you go, this guy. My neck really hurts, guys. Sorry about that. It's because Brianna doesn't come around and rub my neck anymore because of COVID. Okay. Right. Okay, well, you got a question? Do you want to do that, or do you want me to check your spreadsheet? I wasn't sure if you wanted me to do that on stream or not. Alright. We'll go here. I will open this up. Okay. You wanted me to check this math on this damage reduction stuff right here, right? Second sheet. Okay. Okay. Well, the first question I have to you is why do you differentiate between piercing and arrow? Oh, hell yes, it does. Right. They dug up, rose rather, out of the ocean, a galleon from, I think it was the 15th century, that had in it, or 14th century perhaps, a whole armory full of English longbows, the first they'd ever gotten intact from that time, preserved because of the salt water. And some of them, they averaged at 180 pound pull. One of them was over 200. That means that if you hung the bow up and put a weight on it, it would take 200 pounds of pressure. You'd have to have a 200-pound man hanging off of it. Right. Arrow will drop a bull moose. Okay, but that's it. Let's take a look here. And if it's got a 0, that means you can't penetrate it? Yeah, test videos done with a 40-pound bow. I've seen them too. They did it with a hunting bow. It's got 40 pounds of pull on it. Big difference between 180 pounds and bodkin points. And did they put a bodkin point on it? Because when they did that on Mythbusters, they could get a deadly shot at over 100 meters. Yeah. Bodkins are basically little tiny square, well, pyramid-shaped arrow points designed to punch through armor, specifically plate armor. because I seen a video just about 3 weeks ago where they got this guy come in because he's a English longbowman. He's one of the last ones in the world, right? His family has been English longbowmen since like the 11th century, since there were English longbowmen, right? And that guy was built really funny too, right? That's why I find it hard to believe they're using 160-pound bows, long bows. Who do they got pulling it? Because this guy was built sort of like me. He had one arm that was normal sized and one shoulder that was huge, right? From pulling bows. Yeah, it's true they should, but even the English longbowmen, they didn't. Right? They've dug up graves of the English longbowmen, and they can see where the shoulders were overdeveloped on one side. Right? You know, I mean, when you started training as an English longbowman, your family was training you when you were about 8 to start training to do that. Well, Welsh longbowman, let's be honest. It's Welsh, not English. Sure. And I remind you that at Crushy, the English longbowmen rained hell. 10,000 English longbowmen raised hell on the plate armored opposition. Because of the mud on the ground, their horses couldn't gain speed, so they couldn't charge, right? And the English archers fucked them up. Yeah, and Agincourt, yeah. Crushy and Agincourt. Okay, go back to your article here and I'll see what I think here. You see, this is why I don't think this system is going to work. Alright? Because right? More their mauls than their daggers, really. I think. Yeah. But that's what I'm saying here. That's what I was pointing out here to is this status this article? Whose article am I reading here? Right, /key's article. Right, pointing this out to you, /key. Right, I don't think a multiplier is going to work. Right, just a second, I got a cough. I don't think it'll work, that is, without a threshold. Like, you could say that crushing weapon, bludgeoning weapons is the term I'm used to with it, only do X number of damage against plate armor until they do certain point. Right? You know, if you do more than 10 points of damage with it, then you do full damage. Because plate armor buckles, and it does not flex back out. Right? And so if you're wearing that on your chest, and it buckles in, all of a sudden you can't breathe. At all. Ever. Again. Because unless you can get that armor off fast enough, you'll suffocate in it. Right? And that's what mauls did to plate armor. And a maul is definitely a crushing weapon. Right. Plate could be cut through anyways, depends what it was made out of. Right? The best thing that we've got to put armor together right now, if you wanted to put armor together for yourself, if you had to defend yourself, is plastic. Yeah, so I think that you should put something like that. But your numbers are far too low anyways, right, for that. If you put a threshold in, that is. Right? You could say that it does 50% to plate until it passes a threshold. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, you see, that's what I was looking at here too. Right? Thanks, Stretch. Stretch is a historian, by the way, who studies this stuff. In case you want to know, Slashkey. He studies weapons and armor. Oh, I thought you did. Well, not that you're an actual historian, but an armchair historian, I should say. An armchair historian who. Yeah, he's doing the research now for his nano project. But I've just worn a lot of armor. Alright? And seen what it actually does. Alright? Yeah, medieval Kevlar. Yeah, Gamazon. Right? That's designed to stop arrows. Cloth. Just quilting. Alright? And it's worn pretty much under any type of armor. Right? Now, depending, like, you're obviously putting in leather and stuff like this because this is fantasy, but in reality, leather protected you best against crushing weapons. It's the only thing it did protect you against. Its skin. Alright? Boiled in wax to harden it. Right? So, yeah, it would protect you against bludgeoning stuff because it flexes and redistributes the blow. But arrows and swords just punched through it. Like it was useless. Yeah, you should. Alright. Yeah, so like I say, boiled leather, best thing you could put it against was bludgeoning weapons. The other thing I would put in, the other thing I would put in for your armors is a hit point total for the armor before it becomes useless. Right? Perhaps based upon how much it absorbs. Oh, Brigandine, yes. I don't trust experts. Not people that do that stuff on. You know this show, Stretch? Okay. Well, it's like Stretch said, if the armor is steel and the bodkin is iron, of course it's not going to penetrate. Right? Just remember that in everything. Right? If it's softer, it will flatten, it will impact and crush itself against the harder material. Right? So, so compare, when you're comparing whether or not that something's going to do damage, compare what you're hitting it with compared to what you're hitting, right? And that's why I say it should be fairly obvious that an arrow will not be stopped by leather. Leather is skin that has wax in it to make it hard. So, alright? But doing what it does, it will redistribute a blow. Yeah, compared to iron and then steel, yes, bronze was soft. Bronze is one hard son of a bitch in metal, but right? If they could have, if they could have done it, we would have went to the brass age, because brass is stronger than iron. But they can't do it because it requires electricity to create it. Right, so, okay, well, let's okay. Yeah, I would also give leather a low hit point threshold. Jesus. Um, Slash Key, does that make sense to you that they should have a hit point threshold before they're useless? Okay. Leather should also have a very low one. It is only skin after all. Right? And if it gets hit with a war maul, right? That's being hit with a 14-pound sledgehammer. Right? Same thing. Right? So, it's not going to protect you ever again. It's going to take, the impact of that's going to take all the rigidity out of it. Jesus, ouch. Okay, so alright, oh, am I watching you change this as we go? Well, I know it's her mom. Ah. Oh yeah, I was just watching that thing move, and I'm like, whoa, that's trippy. Alright. Yeah, to the original, I've just got it on read only. That's what that green button right up here is. This is a read only. I think at this point, I'm gonna need to see your thresholds and your damage resistance, whatever you want to call that, the hit points for the armor, right, before I can give you a true evaluation of what you're doing. But what I will say is that that it looks okay, except for remember that leather is plate. Alright, we're not talking leather jackets here, we're talking plates of leather is armor. Alright? You know, and I think what you're thinking is studded leather is what they call brigandine, and it wasn't armor, it was decorative. Oh, right. Well, that's a good sign. Yeah, and our cats are not coming in. It's weird. Right. I think what you need to know is scale armor is just plate armor. Smaller plates, that's all. Alright? So it's going to protect a lot like plate armor does. Alright? Mail and fabric are the same thing. Right? They protect in the same way. Right? Leather is plate. Studded leather is probably fabric. And that's really what it comes down to. Right? It's not saying that they protect exactly the same, but they protect in the same manner. Right? Mostly it's pretty much the material, but scale armor is just scales like a fish, right? You know, you got plates of armor that overlap like the scales of a fish, right? So it flexes when you move, right? But when you hit it, one plate hits another plate, which hits another plate, which hits another plate, and it distributes damage, right? So piercing means you're going to hit one plate on that, which means it'll do more damage, right? Slashing means you're probably only going to hit one plate, but bludgeoning, you're probably going to hit 4 or 5. So it's going to protect better against bludgeoning damage than it does against slashing and piercing damage. If you see what I'm saying. Right? Whereas mail protects by its weight. Right? Basically, it cushions blows. Yeah, an upward thrust could sometimes get under the scales, yes. Right, which means that it's going to protect less against a slashing weapon. I think it's slashing, you called it, right? Yeah, slashing, piercing, crushing. Slashing and piercing weapons are going to do more damage against scale armor than a bludgeoning weapon is. Against any type of plate armor. Until it passes a threshold, because then the armor gives out. Right? Whereas with chain, when you hit it with a plate thing, it's like hitting a piece of cloth. You hit a large area and it cushions it against things by its weight. Right? But if you hit it with a slashing weapon, right, you pretty much are hitting a large area, right, which is cushioned by its weight. But you hit it with a piercing weapon, and you're hitting a small area, and if it's mail, right, in particular mail, right, it just causes the link to spread, and it goes right through. Yes, scale was bad for cavalry. Right? But a gamazon, that's what that long G-A-M-B, gamazon, right, is basically an underpadding for armor. You wore it under your mail or under your, yeah, right? Right, the rapier, long point to pierce armor. Right? Right? The wider that you distribute the blow onto armor, the better it protects. Right? So armor protects the least well against piercing weapons. No matter what kind of armor. Except the gamazon. The gamazon, the underpadding of the armor, right, is designed with quilting in it. And the quilting catches on the edges of anything that pushes through it, right, and slows it down. So a piercing weapon will punch into a gamazon, but might not punch through because the fine fabric that makes up the layers of the gamazon will slow down the arrow as it goes through, right? Do the same thing with a pick. Sorry about that. All right. I was saying that pretty much, right? It does allow for you to do layers of armor, yes. Right? Which is common. Right? Yeah, you didn't want big thick armor in a hot desert, right? Or plate armor in a jungle, right? No, environment dictates armor more than anything, right? Remember that armor doesn't breathe, right? You know, like, what I mean by that is that mail and fabric breathe, but plate armor doesn't, right? It does not allow air in and out. Or in icy weather, yeah, I hear ya. Good. So if you're wearing big, thick, heavy armor in the jungle, right, you're gonna fill it with sweat. It's gonna be uncomfortable and probably pinch and chafe. In the desert, right, it's going to be deadly. You'll cook in it. Especially a helmet. Yeah, you might have to put damage thresholds based upon weapon type of attack too, slashing, piercing, or bludgeoning. Alright? Because A Gamazon would have a really high damage threshold against piercing weapons, but really low against anything else. Yeah, they had a padded coif under the helmet, yeah. Actually, it really doesn't much slash, to be honest with you. Depend on the sharpness of the blade. It does to a small degree, right? But honestly, right, it really depends on the tightness of the weave. Yes, how many layers? Yeah. Your alcohol article is done. Okay, slap it up. Do you mind if we move on to this one there, Slashki, and let you get a little more work done and come back with it? Oh, Christ. Damn headphones. What the hell happened there? Okay, bring it back when you get some more work on it, and we'll go over it again, and I'll try and get Bob in here too, probably, because he'll help. Alright, and we're going to take a look at... What is this? The Connection. Okay. Yeah, this was a good conversation. Thanks, Lashki. Showcase or critique? Am I showcasing or critiquing? Yawning is what I'm doing. You're boasting. Okay, showcase it is. Oh yeah, I got a few hours. Okay, showcasing it is. The connection. The harvest drinks. The connection and the last heat are Greyburn's representative drinks of the first and second harvest festivals, respectively. The last heat is an overall term covering up any type of hot, spicy drink. However, the connection follows an overall recipe that is the same everywhere, even if the ingredients and brewing methods differ. And as such, no matter where one is in Gold Rock, Greenwood, or anywhere else in Greyburn, these drinks always taste familiar. Okay. History. Due to cost and terrain complications, not many long railroads exist in Greyburn. This caused a problem. Oh, I remember your map. Yeah, this is one where you got small railroads that go in and out, but you got to mostly go by boat from port to port, right? Am I right there, Macaro? Yeah, that's the one. Okay, cool. I remember this map. This is a good map. Okay. Alright. Railroad and Greyburn. This caused a problem when the north and the south coast were only connected by the Twin River, causing travel to take 2 weeks. Unfortunately, the trains between A1 and B2 proved extremely unfit for railroads, so a direct route proved impossible. To solve this conundrum, two families decided to show off and challenge each other to build railroads along the Twin River to the town of Z3 located at its solitary route. Construction started in 268 SY. When it finished in 272 SY, setbacks had not only almost bankrupted the two families, but also 5 others that had joined in. It took all families several decades to financially recover to the point where they were considered proper members of the upper class again. Out of respect, nobody mentions the exact families that were involved in this disastrous show-off attempt. During the last harvest season of 272 SY, the two railroads finally connected at Z3. The construction workers decided to stick around for the harvest festival and celebrate together. For this, they had brought a lot of different liqueurs from all over Greyburn. These were mixed in both successful and horrible concoctions. One that proved most popular was a mixture of cloudberry liqueur from the far north, sugarcane liqueur from the far south, and green apple liqueur from Z3. After way too many drinks and a few dozen rejected names, the construction workers and villagers agreed to call it the Connection. The drink stuck around, and the recipe and tradition spread and as a symbol of the unification of Greyburn. That's pretty cool. Observance. The Grey folk have 2 harvest seasons, the first just before the hottest period of the year, the second shortly before the cold season. In both harvest seasons, after trading at towns, harvest festivals take place in all settlements. During the first harvest festival, the Connection mix is very popular and should be drunk at least once a night. During the second harvest festival, the hot drinks, called the last heat, are consumed instead. Trade towns will often use variants of the 3 liqueurs brewed with local ingredients. Villages will either use local versions or bring some from the trade towns. In the cities, the rich will often mix the original liqueurs, showing off their ability to afford the transport costs. Those not obsessed will import from the local trade towns instead. The 3 liquors. Sweet berries, traditionally cloudberries soaked in flavorless liquor for 3 seasons. Okay. Fermented sugarcane or sugar beet, either bottled or consumed shortly after production or aged for 1 to 3 years. Fermented hard fruit, traditionally green apples, fermented from anywhere from 1 season to 3 years. Okay, additional ingredients: chop pieces of hard fruit, animal milk with honey, squeezed fruit over or fruit syrup, pool water, or ice. Additional ingredients are often used to soften the taste and reduce the alcohol contents, allowing for people to keep drinking. The softer taste makes it more suitable for those with a milder palate. Ah, this is cool, Magaro. This is Let me give that a like. I'm the first one. Like that. Like it. Like it. Okay. There. Yeah. Fix typos. Oh, you footnoted it. Okay. Okay. Let me guess. Berry vodka, rum, and wine? Apple wine? Author notes are only visible to the author. Oh, never mind. Down here. I lied. Forgot I said anything. Through the cues and inspiration of Lacaf and Catha, Brazil, and Menza. Verdes. Ah, cool. Yeah, you should, but I'm not critiquing, so. And forget that I said anything because I'm an idiot. Can't out with me because I'm a moron. Oh yeah, container don't play well with the standard CSS, does it? Yeah, we'll take a look just to show. Refresh. Yeah, that's better. You think you... I think I do. I think I'll light this pipe. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Ask yourself what kind of weapon would it take to penetrate it. That's the thing. Would a maul penetrate it? Would a hammer? Like we're talking like a carpenter's hammer. Would the claws on a carpenter's hammer penetrate it? Hmm? Hey, where in the world are you, Slashkey? Yeah, he would. Right, you said that before. Do you have access to, like, American television in South Korea? Because you should check out a show called Forged in Fire. It'll give you a really good idea of how weapons work. You can find it on YouTube, sure. You like they test weapons on ballistics dummies with real bone, right? So, you know, it's about as realistic as you're gonna get. Root down, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. No, it's at the root of a river, not root of a tree. You could just name it Root. Where you going? Going to Root. Of course, Aussies will look at you and go, whoa. Just say that out loud, will ya? Yes, and any beer that's called root beer. Yeah, it's getting repetitive. I'm gonna change the music again. What have I got to play for you? Let's play Hell's Rebels music. You're gonna remember this for word sprints. You could call one Norfolk and the other Suffolk. Suffolk or Norfolk? Yeah, Norfolk. That's location and color based. You're calling it Root Town because it's location based. Nortown, Norfolk, North people. Suffolk, South people. Yeah, Sussex, Essex, Wessex. Yep. Norfolk's County, isn't it? Hmm. Over in North America, most of our places are named after people or places in England and France. Okay, back to my FaceTime screen. The music's loud. Yep. David Weber, writes the Honorverse series, jokes that every bloody place that humans settled is called something landing because that's where they landed. Nice. Okay, didn't you say you had a question there, slash key too? Did I answer that already, or did you want to ask your question now that I've looked at your thing there? What would I like to run next? The next thing I'm running is a Goblin campaign. Right, in Pathfinder 1 in the Toy Soldier Saga universe, just on the other side of this conflict that the players are playing on in this campaign that we're doing. Torture a rat? Gotta give it medication or something? Eye cream. Get into a fight with another rat? Okay. That's why I like goldfish. They're the only pet that's cheaper to buy a new one than it is to feed them. Well, I can tell you, Macaro, I like rats. To be honest with you, I've never met an animal I disliked. I met a few that were unruly because their owners were stupid. But it's not that I blamed the animal for it. Any more than I blame an unruly 6-year-old child. I was in the store the other day. Actually, it was about 6 months ago, but the other day. Alright, and there's this mother and her kid is throwing a temper tantrum. Right? And somebody said that in there, yeah, she was evil though. I didn't dislike her. I just disliked her evil attitude. Right? Anyways, her 6-year-old was throwing a temper tantrum, and somebody said somebody ought to slap that kid. I said somebody ought to slap that mother. But I like animals. Animals, they do love you because you feed them. I like human too, with like honey mustard. Eat human. It's the only ethical meat. Armored dummies with various weapons. You're looking for a bit. Well, I'm only on for 20 minutes here. Who comes on after me? I think it's Kahuna, but I'm not sure. If I had $1 million. If I had $1 million. Where the hell is it? Ah, there. Friday night I went raid Kahuna. Yeah, Kahuna went up 10 minutes ago. Where is Esong? I don't know. It's Friday. She sometimes doesn't make the Friday one. What, do you think it was Tuesday? I realize getting confused on the days of the weekend during COVID is easy, but that's ridiculous, hon. Well, okay, I've never mistaken Tuesday for Friday, but I have mistaken Tuesday for Sunday. So, yes. You really want to learn a Icewind Dale game now. Good luck. I hate that setting. That setting drives me batshit. Not Icewind Dale in and of itself, but the whole Forgotten Realms. It makes no sense. Alright. You know, things that are going on in that world. Like the Red Wizards of Thay. Right. That reminds me. Siobhan, what are you doing for Thanksgiving? Hiding from the world. Okay. Did you want to come over to Diane's mom's with us and have Thanksgiving dinner? I don't hide from the world. The world knows exactly where to find me if it wants to come here. I'm not hiding from it. I'm just avoiding it. Yeah, she's still living in that same apartment down by the downtown Safeway there. Yeah, and we figured Don and Blake would have somewhere to go. Sorry about that. Okay. I believe that's Sunday. I'm not sure. Yeah, guidelines say no buffet style food. Alright, so yeah. So no, don't bring anything. No, just yourself. Yeah, you could bring some soda. That's fair enough, sure. That seems safe. It would be best if you brought them in cans. Like get a flat of 12 or something and just bring that. Yeah, thanks, Stretch. We will have a good time. No, Thanksgiving takes place in November in the United States. Alright, but we have Remembrance Day in November. Alright, so it takes place in October in Canada. I believe it is the second Sunday of October or the first Sunday of October. No, second Sunday it would have to be of October. He's got a month until Guy Fawkes Day. I think, isn't it the 5th of November? Yeah. Remember the 5th of November. With live explosives. Yeah. Good old Boris. I mean, I have to tell you guys elected him. Just like you have to blame us for Harper. Um, 5th edition D&D has something like that. I don't know if there's a website, but I know that 5th edition has something. Yeah. You don't believe you actually voted him in? No. Of course you didn't vote for Harper. You didn't vote for the Conservative in our riding either. Of course not. None of us live in Calgary. Yeah, well, if conservatives have their way, the votes will never be fair and honest. The end of my pop as I know it. When two provinces have the majority of the people, of course they have the majority of the votes. And the Prime Minister has just as much chance of coming from BC as he does from any other province. Right? Because they're picked from their party. Yeah, this is the cyberpunk dystopia that we were warning you about. Orwell saw a lot of things coming, but not like this. Even 84 wasn't this bad. Mark saw this coming too, guys. What we need is a proletariat tyranny now. No, that's a fortunate thing. We want a proletariat tyranny. See, Siobhan, we are the proletariat. The proletariat is the working people of the country. Right? In a proletariat tyranny, the working people of the country take over the government and run it for a while until they can dissolve it and make things run by their local areas. Right? You know, the proletariat needs to run the government like a tyranny, basically say, no, we're doing this, goddammit. Right? Until people get used to the idea of doing that. It's the first step in a communist revolution, a real communist revolution. Not communism as defined by Stalin and Lenin, or Mao, or even Castro. Yeah, true Marxist communism. Yeah, that's what we're looking at. Right? If we can get the proletariat revolution going. Right, which is starting. I mean, these BLM protests are pretty much the start of the proletariat revolution. Right, we just have to get people past the idea of thinking that it's race based and not class based. Right, you know, we have to convince them that we're all in this together. Right. Sure, the POC might be taking the brunt of the abuse by the establishment, but they're taking the brunt of the visual abuse. Right? Everybody's being abused. Well, that got really political really fast. Okay. Thanks for coming, everyone. I had a great time. Thanks for bringing in your articles there, Slash. All right. Thanks for helping out with all the stuff you did there, Stretch. And Siobhan. And Sable. All right. And let's see. I will probably be back tonight. I think there's a free spot tonight, and I might fill it. Yep. free spot between 9 and 12 that I think I'll fill. And a writing stream, though. Alright, yeah, be in a writing stream, and I will see you then. Okay, we're going to go raid Kahuna. Sable will lead us there. Okay, just hang about and you'll raid with us. Remember, our raid shout is prepare to be boarded. We are the Sable's privateers. Thank you very much.